Welcome to qnawire.
Hi, so over here we're asked to calculate the moles of water in the sample, but we're not giving what is the sample or what is the mass of the sample or what is going on. So I'm going to answer this following different criteria. So for example, let's assume in this case that first of all we're given directly the mass of water in the sample, and this would be equal to the mass of the in this case, the amount of moles would be equal to the mass of water divided by the molecular weight of water. So, in this case, you would simply need to divide this by 18 grams per mole. Another possibility that we're going to have is that water is part of the compound that we're going to have. For example, let's consider calcium chloride dihydrate. In this case, the moles of water would come from, let's say that we have the mass of this compound. We need to divide this by the molecular weight of this compound of calcium chloride dihydrate, and this would give us the amount of mole of the dihydrate version of this. Okay. After that, you would need to calculate in order to get the moles of water. It would be the moles of calcium chloride dihydrate, and we're going to multiply this by the conversion factor that corresponds to that we're going to have 2 moles of water per each mole of this compound. And finally, the other possibility would be to calculate the amounts of mole coming from a value for concentration. So, for example, let's say that you're given a concentration in molality. Or, for example, a concentration in percent in weight for a sample, percent mass of a sample. So let's say that we have a sample that has a 5% mass of a certain salt, and the rest corresponds to water. So you're going to have 95% of the mass would correspond to water. So what you would do would be multiply the mass of the sample times 0.95. This is going to be the percent that you're going to get, and this corresponds to the mass of the water that you're going to have in the sample. And after that, to get the amount of mole of water, we need to divide the mass of the water in the sample divided by the molecular weight of water, which is 18 grams per mole. So those are the possibilities that I can think about for finding the amount of mole of water that we're going to have in a sample. In this case, if you want an improved answer, please provide more details on this.